Hey there, Brewers fans. My name is Seth Stowes of Brewer Fanatic, brewerfanatic.com. Uh, Welcoming you to another episode of Brewer Spotlight. Yesterday, we chatted with minor league pitcher Shane Smith a little bit about his season, both as a starter and a reliever. Great season he had, and the health that he had this year. So be sure to check that out. Right now, we're live on our Brewer Fanatic Facebook page. We are working on making this available when we do live shows on the Twitter page as well. And we just have a wait time to get approved for YouTube as well to be able to go live. So at that point, we'll be able to do more of these types of things. With that said, I'm going to welcome those of you on Facebook to send questions to our guest or to myself, but you probably want to hear from him, not me. Um, and we'll go with that. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in the star of this show, and he is a member of the 2024 Milwaukee Brewers. He was on the playoff roster. He started the season at Triple-A and had a fantastic season. And I'm going to bring him in, Isaac Collins. Great season this year at Nashville, and you earned, I think you can fairly say you earned the opportunity to get that call up in September. So first of all, congratulations. Second of all, how's your off season been so far? As we were talking before, I think it's been pretty good.
Yeah. Thank you for the shout out there. But yeah, off season's been great. Had my wedding about 3 weeks ago. Went great. Honeymoon was amazing. So yeah, couldn't ask for a better start to the off season.
Yeah, that's definitely the way to do it. Have you even started thinking baseball 2025 yet? I mean, mentally, I'm sure yes. Have you started the workout plans going forward or getting yourself ready yet?
Yeah, right now, I mean, early in the off season, it's really just body maintenance work. Baseball is a long season, 6, 7 months. So these 3, 4 months that we have in the off season really is for just making sure that you're physically ready for the season ahead. So right now, I'm in the gym, doing a lot of work, just making sure my body's ready to go for spring training.
Absolutely. Well, let's start there. We had you on a year ago, and again, we'll make that available so people can find that along with this more of a get to know you kind of a show. So we're going to actually start with last off season. I know you had a very strong year last year at Double-A, had a few at bats in Triple-A, actually, ironically in St. Paul, real close to your hometown, but. Coming into last off season, I think there was an enthusiasm for you about the opportunity to be one step away this year at Triple-A. So, what was kind of your mindset? What were the couple of things that you really wanted to focus on in your preparations last off season?
Last off season for me was just, all I really wanted going into 2024 was, to be in AAA and to just be given an opportunity in AAA because I had that short stint in 23. I think I played like 3 games. But going into this year, I knew, all right, I put up decent numbers in Double-A, so hopefully I did enough to, get some opportunities in AAA. And to start the year, I was playing about 3, 4 games a week in Nashville. But I took advantage of my opportunity really. I knew what I was capable of, and I kind of just stuck to myself and showed up every night, just ready to compete and try to help the team win.
Absolutely. And if you look at below, you can see last year at Double-A hit 269 on base 42% of the time. So I know that's a big part of your game is getting on base. Last year you had, as in 2023, you had 75 walks to just 55 strikeouts. You had 25 extra base hits. How much was adding some lift or maybe adding some strength last year? Because this year you put up 28 doubles, 7 triples, 14 home runs. I mean, all of those numbers exponentially, not exponentially, but did increase significantly um, from year to year. Looks like you gave up a little bit in terms of swing and miss, 71 walks with 96 strikeouts, which isn't bad by any means. It's still a contact hitter in today's game. A lot of walks. So, kind of, how do let me start with this. This is a long winded question. Let me start with this. do you still consider yourself like a top of the order, get on base type of a hitter, steal some bases? You had 29 last year, 24 this year.
100%. Yeah, I've always been a table setter guy. I've always been a glue guy. I've always been, on base guy. And this year I did tap into more power, but it was a result of just good process. So it wasn't, I didn't go into my games this year or go into the season thinking, all right, I need to hit 25 doubles. I need to hit 15 home runs. I need to hit 5 triples. It was just, I know my approach. I know what I'm good at, and I'm going to excel in those areas, and whatever happens, happens. And I think, baseball is a beautiful sport. If you press and try to swing and try to do too much, you're not going to see the results. But if you let the game come to you and just relax and have fun out there and trust yourself and trust your eyes, trust your swing, the results will come. So yeah, at the end of the day, like even at the major league level, I'm going to be an on base guy, but I believe that at some point, I can maybe hit 15 in the big league. I can maybe even get to 20 if I play 160 games. But right now, my sole focus is to execute my approach, and if I do that, results should come.
Absolutely, and that's certainly a good philosophy. Real quick, we're joined by Isaac Collins of the Brewers. Made his major league debut this year, again after a very strong 2024 season at Triple-A Nashville, in which he hit 273, got on base 39% of the time, 861 OPS, 28 doubles, 7 triples, 14 home runs, and still stole 24 bases. What, in terms of your approach, you got off to a really fast start in April. Like, I want to say at high batting average, you got on base and you were hitting for some power. How important in your mind was it to get off to a fast start at the new level?
It was huge. I mean, that kind of set, my opportunities for the rest of the year. That kind of settled everything. It was like, all right, so Collins, he's going to play 5-6 games a week just because we've seen what he's capable of. So that was huge. But again, that was just a result of me trying to just execute my process every day. It wasn't, again, like I wasn't trying to show up to the field and get 2 hits a night or whatever. It was just, I'm going to show up. I'm going to take this thing one pitch at a time, and hopefully the results show. And for that first month in April, they did. May had a little bit of a down month, and then June was great. July was iffy, and then but that's just baseball for you. You just have to take the ebbs and flows of the game and really just take it one pitch at a time.
Which is easy to say, and we all want to say that. But, like you said, you're going through the great times, and I'm guessing you are remembering that you're one step away from the big leagues. And then you go through those struggles, and you're like, okay, I'm one step from going back to Double-A, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
So how do you keep your mind focused on the process and on the things that you can control? That has to be easier said than done. Do you have help on the coaching staff or rosters or anything like that to kind of help with that, or is it on your own?
Yeah, I mean, we have sports psychologists that I work with. Alex Rasky, give her a shout out. She helped a lot this year. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you are in control of your own career. So, being an older guy, 27 years old, this is was my fourth full season in minor league baseball. I've been through a lot. I've had success, and I've also had a lot of failure. So if you can just process everything, whether it's a win or a loss, and not take it emotionally and just look at it for what it is, learn from it, and move on. So that's just the biggest thing. And at this stage in my career, I've been able to just kind of take things one day at a time and not let the highs get too high and the lows get too low. But like you said, it's very much easier said than done. Because there's definitely times on the road in Memphis or wherever, and you're 0 for 5, and you're like, what the heck? I thought I had this thing figured out, but maybe I don't. Like, what am I ever going to get out of here? Am I ever going to achieve my dream of playing the show? But you have to just accept that voice in the head, that voice in your head, and just put it to the side and get back to what got you there. So yeah, baseball is an extremely tough sport, and I went through it in Triple-A, and it's going to be even harder in the big leagues. So I'm up for
Yeah.
that challenge. I know I'm capable. I know I'm more than ready for it.
I'm guessing of those people that are listening to this either now or later, I would like to vouch that 27 is not old, even in baseball. But that's because I'm well beyond that. So, all right. Again, we're with Isaac Collins. If you are listening on Facebook Live right now, you can feel free to leave a comment and either congratulate or ask a question to Isaac Collins. So, how much are you following the big league club when you're in Triple-A relative to earlier stages of the minor leagues? And I ask that in the sense that you played a lot of second base, you played a lot of left field. Second base, Bryce Terang is there, and obviously won a Gold Glove. Kind of stepped up this year. Christian Yelich gets hurt. Are you kind of paying attention to all that? Are you too busy with your own games and preparation of what you can do?
No, that's a good question. Yeah, you obviously know what's going on up there. And there's chatter in the clubhouse of who might get called up next and whatnot. But at the end of the day, the main thing is to execute my approach each night and take it one pitch at a time, one at bat at a time. So, yeah, those thoughts will definitely run through my head. But if you let them permeate, then you end up losing what truly is important, and that's the game. So, and at the end of the day, I mean, in the minor leagues, and even in the major leagues, you're playing not just for the Brewers. You're playing for every organization. Every organization has a scouting report on you. Every team is watching. So it's kind of win. That's really all I'm trying to do.
Absolutely. We're just going to play some highlights here in the background, courtesy of the Brewers player development Twitter feed. Again, showing the home runs, but I found a lot of videos of doubles down the line and doubles from the left field line to the right field line. What's your process in terms of spending time batting left-handed, spending time batting right-handed? Obviously, knowing there's more right-handed pitchers in the game. Do you spend a little more time left-handed, or does it really vary from day to day?
I try to get as many swings from each side. I don't necessarily like if the starter's right-handed. I don't just not swing right-handed that night. I'll take just as many swings from both sides. So,
Okay.
but there are two different swings in my opinion. I have strengths from one side, weaknesses on the other. So it's just whatever I'm feeling that day, what I feel like I need to work on. That's what I focus on. And the biggest thing really at that stage is to just get your mind right for the game, because when you step in that box, the last thing you want to think about is your swing. So um, I feel like I did a good job this year of just coming in, getting my work in, knowing what worked for me, not trying to do too much, and then showed up to that game that night.
So when you're batting left-handed versus right-handed, are you trying to keep it as same as possible between the two, or do you kind of understand that there are differences, uniquenesses in the swings and the stance that you understand that they are different? Or maybe, I've heard both. I've heard guys that want to keep as much the same as possible, and maybe mentally that's easier said than physically sometimes with that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's weird. I mean, hitting, like, it's all feels, and it's hard to kind of communicate what you're feeling while you swing. So there's definitely certain feels I have on the right side that I don't have on the left. and vice versa. There's feels that I have on the left side that I don't necessarily feel on the right, but I know what I need to feel from on the left side, and I know what I need to feel on the right side prior to the game that night. And if I can get that down and get to those feels, then I'm ready for that game. So one of the biggest thing.
All right. With my intent on trying to not take up too much of your time while still trying to ask as many questions as I come up with, let's jump right to it. You get to toward the end of the Triple-A season, and I think it was September 6th, maybe you found out, September 7th. You find out. Tell us real quick. I know you've told the story probably many times. I'd like to think it doesn't get old, but what was the story of you finding out you're going to the big leagues?
Yeah, so typical AAA night. I want to say it was a Saturday night. Did my normal routine before the game. This was like 30 minutes before the game, so I got my full uniform on, cleats, ready to go. And before I walked down to the dugout, Noah came and says to me, he's like, "I'm playing this night, you're off." And I was like, "Hey, what that?" He's like, "Yeah." All right. So then I go down to the dugout with my bat, gloves, helmet, still prepared to play because I haven't heard it from the manager yet. So I'm just
Sure.
wasn't sure if he was joking or not or whatever, but going to the dugout, and then Rick Sweet comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, you're scratched from tonight's lineup." I was like, all right. He's like, "You're also scratched from tomorrow's lineup too. You're going up to Milwaukee." And I was just like, what the? It was a rush. Like I didn't really know how it was going to go down, if it ever was going to go down. So for him to just, tell me that way, and then all the coaches nearby, congratulating me, and then going back up into the clubhouse, and all the guys there kind of knew and were congratulating me. It was picture perfect. It was great.
It seems like such a dumb question because everyone's unique and has their own story. But do you feel like the fact that it maybe took you, like you said, 4 full seasons in the minors to get there, second organization, do you feel like it meant more to you? Which is you can't compare, and everyone's got their own story. But I mean, just what's going through your head at that time? Are you trying to figure out how you're getting to Milwaukee? Or are you trying to think back and like, holy cow, this just happened?
Yeah, I mean, initially it was like, okay, I need to tell my mom, my dad, my brother. Like, I need to tell my family and my wife. I called her first, and so that was the first thing that came to my head. It's like, I need to tell my family, and then after that, I told some friends, and then once I got back to my apartment with my wife, that was when we really were able to just like reflect on everything and just kind of realize, like, holy crap, this has been a journey. This has been just a long process with a lot of ups and downs, a lot of doubt, a lot of just uncertainty, and to finally, get that call, it was just a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. And then the next morning, back at it. Like, here we go. Like, we're flying to Milwaukee. We got a game that day at 1 o'clock. I'm in the lineup. It's back. Um, so it was great. It was a really, really rewarding feeling that, like, I can't even really describe, to have someone tell you, like, you are going to achieve your childhood dream, like you've made it.
Yeah.
So that was amazing, but it didn't last long. Like, it was, once I woke up the next morning, I mean, I didn't sleep that night, but when I decided to get out of bed, it was like, all right, it's on. Like, here we go. Like, now it's time to do what you're supposed to do at this level and show everyone what you're capable of.
How long is that Nashville to Milwaukee flight, and then how long did it seem?
It was short. I want to say it was about an hour, hour and a half.
Okay.
And luckily, I was able to somewhat fall asleep on that flight. I didn't sleep at all the night before. My flight was at 8 in the morning, so I had to leave at like 5:30 from my apartment in Nashville. I didn't get into bed till about midnight, so I was just laying there with my thoughts and excitement about the next day. But yeah, the flight really wasn't too bad. But once we landed and once my driver picked me up, my heart started racing. I was like, all right, here we go. This is it. And then
Yeah.
um, once I got to the clubhouse, everyone welcomed me with open arms. There was definitely some familiar faces up there: Tobias Myers, Aaron Ashby, for example, and they were just so excited to see me because they know how long of a journey it's been, and um, they helped. They made it a lot easier, and so did all the other guys. So did the veterans. So did just the coaching staff. Like, it was, everyone was excited for me. Everyone wanted me to help the team win. So it was that first day, and then obviously getting that hit, my first at bat, stolen base. Like, it was picture perfect. I was able to get really, really, really good sleep that night, and then the next day we got off. So it was, yeah, that 36-hour period was just the most insane 36 hours of my life, to be honest.
So I've got like a billion questions, but number one, I do you think there's anything to it? And maybe Pat Murphy told you or somebody else, but just the reality that you also made your major league debut against Colorado, did that make it more meaningful, less meaningful? Were there guys you played with in the Rockies organization on the other dugout, that kind of thing?
Yeah, no, that made it 10 times better in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when I
Yeah, I
got
didn't catch that till I was doing a little look here, and I'm like, holy cow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, before the game, I was able to say what's up to a few of the coaches on the other team. But like, one of the coolest parts was after I got my first hit, Michael Tolia at first base. He said what's up to me. He said congratulations. We were roommates in Double-A, and we were in the same draft class with Colorado, so I know him pretty well. And it was just,
Gold Glove winner.
yeah, exactly. It was just pretty surreal to have him at first base for my first hit, because we played in Double-A together. We talked about what it would be like playing the show, and then obviously not being on the same team, but it was just really cool to have him there. And then once I stole second, Ezekiel Tovar, who's another player I came up with. I played low A, high Double-A with him. He smiled and he was really happy for me. And just, I mean, guys like Devin Doyle, Aaron Schunk was over there. There's plenty of pitchers too. Like, it was, I knew that those guys were very happy for me. Um,
Yeah.
so that definitely was like the cherry on top. To do it against Colorado was great.
Yeah, I was going to jokingly say it meant so much for you to be with Tolia at first base, and then you left him right away. So, was it important for you to kind of get your legs going, feel your legs maybe even by going right away? Was that intentional, or do you think? I mean, I'm sure you don't get green lighted on day one.
I mean, Brewers beat Ron. Like, I had the green light, and Freeland, he's
Okay.
the plate lefty. He picked over on the first attempt, so I was like, all right, he's probably not going to pick over again. If he doesn't slide step, like, we're running. And he had his leg lift, and I ran. So that's just, again, that's part of my game. That wasn't necessarily like something I don't normally do. Like, I do that all the time. So it wasn't anything, and that's kind of the biggest thing at that level. Like, yeah, there's more fans, there's more coaches in the dugout, more stuff going on, but do what got you there. Like, execute what got you there, and that's exactly what I did that day.
So I can see it's an 0-1 count here in the second inning. Like you said, Kyle Freeland, who's obviously had a nice little career that people don't talk about probably enough on the mound. Tell us what's about to happen here. What pitch do you get? What's going through your mind? And if I've heard or read correctly, did you lose a bat in at bat number one?
I did break my bat on the single. Credit to Freeland for, hitting the corner. But yeah, I think he flipped over a curveball first pitch, a little bit high in my opinion, but called it a strike. So yeah, my approach really is to just look for something over the plate. And he's a sinker slider guy, so definitely needed the ball to start more over the plate than a typical four-seam guy. So I was just waiting for my fastball, and he threw me one 0-1. Felt like it started enough over the plate to put a decent swing on it. And luckily I did. Luckily I let it travel just enough to get enough barrel on it and, poke it through the middle.
Let's take a quick look at this. Fastball right on the corner, like you said, and a little bit on the end of the bat, but certainly not bad. And I'm guessing that's your dad, since he looks just like you, a little bit excited.
Yeah, that's my dad and my wife, and then two of my good friends in the stands. So, it was just amazing. Like, I couldn't really ask for it to go any better than it did. So it was just, it was a great day.
That's probably my favorite thing, is just seeing your dad's reaction. And again, you've talked when we talked last off season about your dad. Obviously, I think he played college football, and you guys have that connection that, you just enjoy watching football together. Obviously a good relationship. How important was it for him to be there? And what were without getting overly emotional, what were the conversations with both of your parents like, even before or after the game?
Yeah, it was amazing to have him there. My mom wasn't able to make it out. But honestly, none of us really knew that I was going to play that day. I didn't find out I was in the lineup till I got to the clubhouse. So my mother, she was planning on just going to the road trip that following week. And then my dad said, no, I'm just going to go. I don't really care if you don't play, whatever. And yeah, I'm in the lineup. It's like, oh crap, he's here for my debut. Same with my wife and my two good friends. So, yeah, it's amazing. Like, I obviously would not be where I am without my parents. And, to have
Literally.
Literally. Yeah, exactly. And to have him there, just like supporting, it was amazing. Like, when I called him, he was just so excited. And same with my mother. They were both just so excited, jumping up and down. Because they thought optimistically. They thought that, maybe this is my year, that I'll finally get my opportunity. And for them to receive that call, they were just so ecstatic. And that video of my dad just like perfectly sums up who he is. Like, he's just this extremely passionate guy with his kids and just with sports in general. Like, he wants the best for all of us. And he pushed me really hard as a kid and young adult, and it really helped. Like, I was able to navigate this whole pro game very well because of him. He gave me a lot of good advice, because he was a professional athlete at one point too, and he wasn't able to have the career that he wanted. So because of that, he was able to, really, only what the important things are, and it's just like carrying yourself the right way and being a pro and doing it the right way. So yeah, it was just amazing day.
It's fantastic. All right, so a little bit of Isaac Collins trivia here for you. And I didn't spend a lot of time on this, but you had 2 hits and 2 walks. Do you remember who the pitchers were on those 4 plate appearances? I have to go check my notes because I don't remember right off the top of my head.
Yeah, so the hits were Kyle Freeland, and Jose Quintana.
Yeah, the Mets.
I walked off Quintana, and then I walked against Mantiply, I believe, with the Diamondbacks. So
you were on there as a pinch hitter for Garrett Mitchell in the 8th inning of I want to say 2-1 game or 1-0 game or something at the time.
Yep.
Kind of a big spot.
Yeah. That that first road trip was an eye opener. We went to San Francisco. took 2 of 3. And then we go to Arizona, took 2 of 3 from them too. But we played Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Arizona. And, they're a playoff team, played in the World Series the year before. Like, there's 45,000 fans. Like, it was a playoff atmosphere. It was like, this is the show. Welcome to it.
Yeah.
And, again, I'm just so grateful that the Brewers gave me that opportunity at the end of this past season. So now, like, I know what to expect. I know what it's like to play in front of that many people. I know what it's like to pinch hit, in the 7th, 8th inning of a one-run ball game. Like, it was a really, really good experience for me in my career. There's definitely some things I wish I would have done differently, but there are also some things that I did well. And like I
And
said,
there's some things you just have to go through.
exactly. That's
It's the same at every level you move up, but obviously magnified times 10, at the big league level. So, I mean, you just have to go through the firsts.
Yeah, you have to, exactly. You couldn't have said any better. You have to just go through it, whether it's good or bad. But once you go through it, you grow, you learn. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations to grow as a person. So that first road trip was extremely uncomfortable, like from the clubhouse to the game to the back, like everything. And not saying like my teammates made it uncomfortable. They actually helped a lot. I talked to a lot of different people to help me navigate through this whole thing. But just being, first, rookie end of the year, making the playoff push. I wanted to do everything right. I wanted to help our team win, and so just that pressure was, it was overwhelming at times. And but again, I'm glad I went through it. Glad I was able to experience it, and so now I know, what to expect. Got the jitters out the way, and it's time to, produce and help the team win.
And even, despite the ups and downs of 11 games, they had the confidence to put you on the playoff roster, which I think says a lot as well, whether it's, Murphy making that decision, the front office making that decision, obviously getting input from the appropriate people. And I know the Brewers didn't go as far in the playoffs as I think many thought they might or could, but what an experience that atmosphere had to be at the ballpark.
Yeah. Oh, the playoff series was amazing. All the towels, the player intros, like it was just,
Yeah.
it was surreal, really. I mean, that whole 3 weeks that I was up there was surreal. Like I had to pinch myself every day. Like this is actually happening. This is my job. This is what I do. But yeah, like you said, it definitely did mean a lot and show a lot that they, felt confident enough to put me on that playoff roster. Despite, I didn't obviously get into any of those games, but just making that roster definitely was a confidence boost. Like, all right, they think I'm capable of helping this team win in the playoffs. So, that was definitely a good sign. And, it went out a really tough way, but, credit to the Mets. They were a really good team. They were playing very, very, very good baseball,
Yeah.
defense. They executed well, and so did we. Like we played really good too.
All close games.
Yeah, I don't think anyone on our team or even the Mets would say like, neither team deserved to be there. Like we both deserved every ounce of that series, and either team could have won. So it was just, that night, game 3, the Mets just they had a better night. They won that game. We didn't necessarily get it to them.
Yeah. I guess I kind of look at it too, like, again, what we've talked about already, the on-base skills, the speed, the ability to steal bases, to take a quality at bat, even that Manaply walk that you had in the 8th inning. It's a big situation against a guy who has been an all-star before. I mean, I think that speaks to the reasoning that, they would want you there. So I guess obviously an exciting roster, kind of a good mix of, like I was noticing on one of your walks, Adames advanced to third and Hoskins advanced to second. I saw Hoskins is coming back. You've got Yelich. You've got some veterans. But at the same time, there's Mitchell and Freelick and Ortiz and Terang is young. That's a fairly young ball club too. So, it's got to be fun to kind of picture yourself as part of the future in Milwaukee. How exciting is it to be part of kind of, I guess my other bigger point along with that is you didn't just make your major league debut in September. You made it for a really good team, which means it's hard to get on the roster, which means all these things. I think you should be pretty excited about, the future. And you mentioned earlier playing for 29 other teams too. Well, now you're playing for the one team, but at the same time, now all those other teams get a much better view too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I mean, the Brewers roster this past year was, was very unique. You had guys like Adames, you had guys like, guys, veterans that have, been around for a while, but you have just young, gritty, competitive dudes like Graham and Frelick, Mitchell, going with these. They just really see those guys core and have such big roles in the team at such a young, part of their career. So obviously, I have a huge mountain to climb, but it would be amazing, to be in that group of players that could, help this team win for the next few years. Like I said, I have a lot to achieve. I have a lot to prove before I get to that point. And Perkins, Sal, Mitchell, Terang, they all belong the big leagues and what they bring to the table. So I can do everything and then make my name and help my name as well with the Brewers.
I mean, you add in the fact that you're a switch hitter who can play infield and outfield. I would just add to those listening, the major league minimum salary is still pretty good for utility guys. So having that role in the big leagues doesn't sound all terrible either.
No, yeah. And like you said, being a utility guy, like the left fielder needs a day off, throw me in there. If the third baseman needs a day off, throw me in there. If the second baseman needs a day off, throw me in there. If center fielder needs a day off, throw me in there. And then before you know it, I'm playing 4 or 5 games a week. So
yeah, it's enough to kind of keep yourself fresh and ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not just playing once or twice a week, pinch hit here and there. Whatever that role is that they have for me next year, I'm gonna accept it and be as productive as I possibly can in that role. So, like I said, I have a huge mountain to climb. I was able to get a little taste of it, but I have a lot to prove. I haven't solidified myself one bit up there, so it's a big challenge for me this upcoming year, but I'm ready for it.
Yeah. Well, and you know what, being on the 40-man roster is a big deal too. So that obviously is a obstacle that isn't in the way. I kind of want to encompass one final question as it relates to some of this, and that's, you talked about the ups and downs, the hurdles, the opportunities, the good, the bad. Number one, I guess, what did you learn about yourself through this season? But at the same time, what did you learn about yourself that you're going to use this off season as far as what you want to improve on or how you want to, I guess, better yourself or give yourself a better chance for being on the opening day roster?
Good question.
A lot of questions. Sorry about that.
There's definitely some technical things. At the major league level, pitchers' fastballs jump out of their hands. Like they come out a little bit harder and a little bit, just a little bit more pop than they do in Triple-A. So definitely, I learned that I need to shorten my swing a little bit from the left side, and that's going to be a thing like this. But overarching, just what I learned about myself this past year is really just how much you're capable of. Like, I obviously always envisioned myself and wanted to be a major leaguer. But it was always just a vision. It was never, I never really truly, it's hard to explain. I couldn't really fathom myself playing in the big leagues. Like, yeah, it was cool, like envisioning myself playing there, but once I finally made it there, it was like, wow, like this is it. Like you are on the field with these guys. You are capable.
Yeah.
You are capable of playing here. You are just as good as these players, and all it comes down to is between the ears. And so that's kind of the biggest thing I learned was just, believing in yourself and believing like what you are truly capable of as a baseball player. And that's, I've played with a lot of guys in the minor leagues, and a lot of guys are capable of playing in the big leagues. It's just, can they turn that switch on in their head, telling themselves, I am a big leaguer. I'm going to go about my business as a big leaguer, and I'm going to execute like a big leaguer would. And um, that's kind of some big things I learned about myself this year that I'm going to carry into next year. And that's not being cocky or having a big ego. It's just belief in yourself. Like I truly belong here. I belong in this field. I belong in this clubhouse, and I'm going to act like it. I'm going to go about my business like it. So, and you see that with the big dogs in the big leagues. Like you see it with Yelich. You see it with Adames, Contreras. They aren't cocky at all. They exude confidence. It radiates. Like you just see it, whether they're walking in or they're taking batting practice. Just the way they do everything, the way they go about their business, they're a true professional. They're a true big leaguer. And that's kind of what I've been telling myself this offseason, how I need to carry myself and just be myself. I don't need to be anything other than myself, because that's what got me to this point. So if I can just be me and carry myself the way any other big leaguer would, then I hopefully will stick around for quite some time.
Last question or two, unless anyone's got any on Facebook that you'd like to ask Isaac Collins here. A lot of people noticed, or one of my favorite things was when Adley Rutschman made his major league debut. I'm sure you've seen the video where he walks out to home plate and he just takes a second to look around the field. Did you kind of have a moment like that? And maybe it isn't your debut. I mean, you had a lot of things going on that day. Maybe it was a lot, but were you able to find a moment of whether it's peace or just, okay, I understand where I'm at?
Yeah, I mean that first day in Milwaukee, first time I walked onto the field was probably about 2 hours before the game started. That was surreal. Like that definitely kind of hit me then. Like, this is it. I've never been there, so that was the first time like being on the field and seeing what American Family Field looked like. And
sure,
that was definitely big. But on the road too, like when we went to San Francisco, I made sure to go out into the field as soon as we got to the field and just like look around and really like soak it in. Like, okay, this is it. This is the big leagues. You belong here. You've worked so hard to get here, so soak this thing in and enjoy it, and then move on and get back to what's more. And so I think,
right,
again, next year, like it's going to be cool playing in new stadiums I've never played in, but what's important is the ball and the pitcher and that next pitch. And
60 feet, 6 inches, 90 feet between the bases.
Yeah. Like I had a good conversation with Terang. He's like, now that I've been in the big leagues for a year and a half, 2 years now, like I don't even notice the fans. Like I'm just so locked into the game that like I kind of forget that there's 30, 40,000 fans in the stadium. And that kind of resonated with me. I was like, okay, that's when I'm in Triple-A, the last thing I think about is how many fans there are. Like all I'm thinking about is the game. So if I can get to that point where it's like, yeah, I don't really care if there's 45,000 or if there's only 20,000 that night. Like I'm just here to play and compete. And I think once I get to that point, then I can take over and I'll help the team win in whatever way.
Yeah. Let's see. I want to say last question, but we'll see. Off-season plans. Obviously, you had a big moment already, and I'll throw this up here real quick. I hate to get into people's personal lives, but you're married for 3 weeks, and from the sounds of it, everything's going wonderful. Obviously, you mentioned earlier she's a big support system in your life. Any plans for more travel? I mean, I know you just got back from your honeymoon. Any other fun things planned for your off season?
No, not really. I mean, my wife and I were going to go down to Arizona here soon and just have a little weekend in Sedona with some friends.
Okay.
And, Christmas time, I'll go out to West Virginia and visit some family there. But yeah, pretty laid back. My wife and I, we had an amazing wedding and went on a beautiful honeymoon. And these past 3 weeks have been great. And yeah, throughout this whole year, she's been just so supportive, and it makes it a lot easier going home to someone like her, someone that's just there to listen to whatever you need to say and kind of get you back to reality. Like again, this is just a game. Like it's not like a death. And for her to be that support system and to be there for me through this whole journey has been amazing. Just like I said about my parents, I can say the same thing about my wife. I would undoubtedly not be where I am if it wasn't for her.
Yeah, and I think that's why when I do meet parents of players and those players finally get an opportunity, I like to send a little congratulations note to the parents, to the the girlfriend or wife or whatever it is, because it's a team effort for sure. So with that, I'll let you go. Unless you came up with any new hobbies during the course of the season, anything fun to do on off days or anything like that. Reading any good books or anything on Netflix that you're watching frequently?
No, I'm a big movie guy. On Max is that new show, The Penguin. That's been kind of my go-to right now. I actually, at the beginning of this past spring training, I started reading the Harry Potter series. So I read like the first 4 books. I got through the 4th book in about middle of July, and I got burnout. So I haven't up the 5th one yet. But maybe this spring training I'll get back to it and finish off the Harry Potter series, because I watched those movies as a kid, but I didn't necessarily know exactly what was going on because I was so young.
Right.
But yeah, reading through them, like I totally understand why there's this huge cult-like following with Harry Potter books. So yeah, no, it's been great. I want to give a shout out to Maple Grove High School football. They have a big game tonight. They play Edina in the quarterfinals of the state tournament. So I don't know if we have any Maple Grove people on, but just want to give a shout out to them.
They're all at the football game.
Yeah, they play here in about an hour, so I'll be watching that. Adam Spurl, he was my baseball coach and football coach growing up. He just took over the head coaching job there, and he's doing an amazing job. We're 10-0, so yeah, I just want to give them a shout out. And yeah,
my cousin's daughter was a senior on the Maple Grove High School volleyball team that went up against the number 1 team in the state, and the winner was to go to state, and they got ahead 2-0, but then lost the last 3 in close games. So I know that was something I watched, and yeah, Maple Grove's gotten huge. Just a great everything. The programs, the school, the non-athletic programs have really taken off. So
yeah, great city, great town. They love their football. And there's just a culture of winning at that school. So
yep. In college football, do you get to games out there in Colorado? Do you get to I mean, I know you're not
No,
by Boulder or anything.
I would love to go to a Boulder football game, check out Dion and Travis Hunter, but Shador, but haven't been able to get out there yet. I went to a few Broncos games last year, so yeah, I'm a big football fan. So if I have the opportunity to go to a football game, I'm there. I'm gonna go. So haven't had one
Well, that
yet.
was my question. I know that West Virginia, I think is it West Virginia where your dad played?
Yes.
And you've always talked about that's kind of your favorite team, but yeah, I mean, if you're right out there in Colorado, you got some pretty good schools. So I don't know if they're great football programs, but they play against good football programs.
Yep. Yeah, West Virginia.
All right, I'm gonna let. Oh, I was gonna say I'm gonna let you go. I've taken up way too much of your time already.
No, it's totally fine.
I figured you wouldn't mind ending on football talk. So,
Yeah.
all right, with that, congratulations on obviously a great season at Nashville, but finally getting that opportunity. Very well deserved after the season you had at Triple-A. And again, enjoy your off season. Congratulations on the marriage, the debut, all these wonderful things. And good luck next spring with whatever that brings you and the opportunities that you now have. So best wishes and thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Seth. I appreciate it.
All right. And to all those listening, please leave any feedback in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And hopefully we can do several more of these throughout the off season. With that, go Brewers.